In this last example, we're going to look at a confidence interval for a difference in means. So we have here a random sample of 18 male wolves from Canada, Northwest Territories gave an average weight of 98 pounds with a standard deviation of 6.5. Another sample of 24 adult male wolves from Alaska gave an average weight of 90 pounds with a standard deviation of 7.3 pounds. Find an 80% confidence interval for the difference in mean weight of the Canadian and Alaskan wolves if the margin of error is 2.8 pounds. Does it appear that the average weight of the adult male wolves from Canada is greater than the Alaskan wolves? All right, so first of all, notice here we do have two different groups. We've got wolves from Canada and we've got wolves from Alaska. So we are going to have some kind of difference here. And we're talking about average weight. And remember, when you see averages, that's the same thing as working with means. So what we're really interested in here is the average weight for the wolves from Canada and the average weight from the wolves from Alaska. So we're always going to start with our sample size check. All right, so notice that we've got 18 Canadian wolves. And we've got 24 Alaskan wolves. All right, so when we're checking sample size conditions for means, we need at least 30 in each of the groups. So here we have less than 30 in each group. So the sample size conditions are not met. So we're going to proceed with caution. All right, next we're going to compute our confidence interval. And remember that our confidence interval is always going to be our statistic plus or minus our margin of error. Well, in this case, we're working with a difference in means. So anytime we work with a difference in means, we're going to have x bar 1 minus x bar 2. So in this case, we're going to have the mean for the Canadian wolves minus the mean for the Alaskan wolves. So for the Canadian wolves, they had an average weight of 98 pounds. And for the Alaskan wolves, they had an average weight of 90 pounds. So the difference there is 8. So down here, calculating the confidence interval for my statistic, we're going to have 8. And then we're given that the margin of error is 2.8. So to get the lower bound for the interval, so you're going to go to your calculator and you're going to type in 8 minus 2.8. And so our lower bound is 5.2. And then the upper bound is 8 plus 2.8, which is 10.8. So there's our interval. And then the last thing we need to give is the interpretation. So for this particular case, we were calculating an 80% confidence interval. So we are 80% confident that, and notice the first one we listed when we calculated the statistic was the Canadian wolves. That Canadian wolves are between 5.2 pounds and 10.8 pounds heavier compared to wolves from Alaska. And again, we do need to be somewhat skeptical of this result because the sample size conditions were not met.